I just left the early learning center from picking my son up, and I was heading to the elementary, and I saw where there was a bus clearly further up where the buses usually park over the curb, actually really close to the building. And as I approached, I could see that there were bodies kind of under the bus and maybe even one in front of the bus.
You say bodies under the bus and maybe one in front of the bus. Are we talking students or adults, or could you tell?
Well, on the stretcher, I saw an adult. I really didn't get to see too close, but I'd imagine that they were children.
And why do you say you would imagine they were children?
Because when they're dismissed, they walk down that sidewalk, and there's several children at once, and she was over the sidewalk, like the bus was on the sidewalk, and the front of the bus was actually in the grass.
And you say she, do you mean the person on the stretcher?
The bus driver.
Is that your impression, that the person on the stretcher was in fact the bus driver?
No, the bus driver was still in the bus.
She was. From what you could tell, I know you had limited sight in some areas, what was the status of that bus driver? Was she sitting calmly? Did she appear to be injured? Could you tell?
She looked pretty distraught and pretty shook up, but she was, intact.
And she was still belted in? Could you even tell that?
I couldn't tell.
Are you familiar with that bus driver?
No, I'm not. My children actually, I did see their bus driver a couple buses down, but I don't know who that bus driver was.
So you were picking your children up on this particular day?
Correct.
Do they often ride the bus or not at all?
Not in the afternoon. She's a car rider, so I come around the circle to pick her up.
How many ambulances could you see on scene?
Well, initially, it was just the parents, and there are a lot of teachers and staff trying to, get to the children or whoever was under the bus. It took a few minutes before the responders arrived. So I'd say there were probably maybe 4 or 5 ambulance, police, several police cars, a few fire trucks as well.
We are looking at a picture, one of the first pictures from the scene right now as you're speaking to us. We appreciate you taking time out to talk to us. It's showing the front of the bus and what appears to be some items around the front of the bus. It's difficult to tell at this time, but you see firefighters there as well. Once again, how far up on the sidewalk and onto the grass would you say this bus was compared to where it normally should be?
Well, the buses have lines that they're supposed to park diagonally, kind of parallel to the curb, and I would say this, and then there's a sidewalk that's probably, I don't know, maybe 6 feet wide that the children walk to get to their bus, and the bus was over the sidewalk. The front part of the bus was in the grass.
Could you guesstimate how many feet possibly?
How many feet?
From where it normally would be?
It was
for those of
maybe 10 or 12.
10 or 12 feet for those people not familiar with this area. Could you see any other vehicles that may have been involved, or does it appear that the bus was the only vehicle involved?
No, it was just the bus.
Again, describe, as you first saw it, the scene. You said you saw children pinned under the bus, is that right?
I didn't see under the actual wheel, but I saw behind the wheel, as in, to me, it indicated that someone had been ran over by the actual wheel.
And I would assume that there were teachers out there at the time trying to get to these students as well?
Teachers and parents as well.
I don't want to put words into your mouth. Was it a chaotic scene? Was it controlled chaos?
It was very chaotic. It was very chaotic. The kids, some of the kids that were car riders, it kind of delayed the process of picking those kids up, so a lot of the parents walked in to get the kids, and you kind of had to shield the kids from the scene. And some of the kids that did see what was going on, you could tell that they were upset and crying, and it was pretty chaotic.
Stand by as we are just now getting a statement from the school response to this. This is coming from, again, this is the Amy Beverland Elementary School, and Erica Fly has just joined me now.
Okay, Todd, that statement that you were talking about that we are receiving from the school, I can confirm there was a very serious bus accident at Amy Beverland this afternoon. There are injuries that are reported, but I have yet to get all the details. Again, this is coming from the public information officer from Lawrence Schools. Please bear with us, and either myself or someone from the central office will get back to you. So again, confirming what we've been reporting, a very serious bus accident. There are injuries reported. We are hearing that the patients are going to Riley Hospital, Todd. That's what we're hearing, that there are multiple patients. We don't know how many at this point, but they are being taken to Riley Hospital. But that statement that I just read coming from the district, I'm not exactly sure who with the district right now, but that's what they're saying, is they are confirming the bus accident and there are multiple injuries.
That is coming from their spokesperson, who is out on maternity leave right now, but we appreciate that from them. Miss, and I'm sorry we're not using your name, so I'm going to call you Miss if that's okay with you. Could you tell what they were doing with the other students? A lot of, as you can imagine, parents with students at Amy Beverland Elementary, and you're one of them, probably frantic right now if they haven't seen their children at home. Can you tell us what they were doing with the children on the other buses? Were the other buses able to get out? The children who remained, if there were any on this bus, and that's a question I should ask you, were there any children on this bus that had crossed the curb?
I can't comment on that. I didn't see that. I do know that on the other side of the bus involved in the accident, there were several other buses that usually they kind of pull off in order, and they were just waiting, for further instruction, I guess.
And I'm sorry, I had a producer in my ear. You said those buses were leaving?
They were waiting on further instruction, I would imagine.
Okay, and could you tell, were students being ushered back into the school at that point?
I couldn't tell, no.
Okay. Were you ushered out of there? I assume they wanted to probably clear the scene and get as many emergency vehicles in there as possible. Were you given instructions? Were you just kind of acting on your own to do what you could?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, my children were safe. So I walked in and got my children and, left the scene.
I would assume there were other parents there as well. Were they kind of following what you were doing and doing the same? Were they going ahead and getting their students?
Several were. There were some others that were kind of waiting around, I guess maybe to see what was going to happen. But for the most part, everyone, just wanted to check on their children and make sure they were okay and just, get out of there.